What is happening, guys? Welcome back to the DaVinci Resolve podcast. I know. It's been a while since I made a podcast, and I got to be honest, I just haven't gotten to it. I've got so much to do, so much going on, but I want to try and put some more effort into this, and I've got tons of questions to answer and comments on my YouTube videos here, so I figured, you know what? Let's hit record there. Let's get another DaVinci Resolve podcast out there, and let's help some more people. So, big news this last week, DaVinci Resolve 19 is officially released. I know a lot of people have been asking about that for quite some time. It's officially out now. Back up your database and then go ahead and download DaVinci Resolve 19. Tons of great stuff in there, and there's even new stuff between the beta 6 version and the official full release that we have now. I know I'll be talking about some of that stuff in upcoming videos, kind of going over some of the things that are a little less known, maybe not as, popular out there. Obviously, we have a lot of great audio updates and things, but there are some things that are just kind of, tucked in there. Blackmagic Design's like, I'm going to just throw that in there, do a solid for you guys. And there's a lot of that kind of stuff. So I'm going to talk about some of that stuff in an upcoming video. But for the podcast here, let's just go through some comments here, answer some questions. Going to help you guys out the best that I can. And let's just roll right into this. So the first question here, or comment I should say, is on a video, how to save text in Resolve 16. Which obviously we're in 19 now. They say the option is now shifted to the media pool option by clicking the 3 dots. You'll find this. All right, cool. Thanks, man. Next up, we have a little bit of a question. Somebody asking for some advice here. And they say, Jason, this was thorough and easy to follow while watching. This video was DaVinci Resolve 19 audio in 1 year only and how to fix that. However, since I went to 19 yesterday after the production release, all my tools change as if it defaulted. My tears say go back. My faith says go forward. Now the problem, I don't have audio attributes or audio clip attributes, nor clip attributes in my menus. Could you help me find them, configure or something? I'm using a Mac, I normally put all my footage on a local hard drive, but this project is pulled from my NAS. So one of the things that you could check is just look if it's in a different spot. When you right-click on any clip, so if I just jump in Resolve here, if I right-click on any clip, we see clip attributes down here. You should see it. There's no reason you shouldn't. There's no option to turn this menu on and off. There's no reason you shouldn't see it. I'm in the Edit tab right here. I can't remember on 18.6 if it was somewhere else or not. But you should be able to just click clip attributes, and it should be right there. No reason that it shouldn't be there. So I don't know why you might not see it. Maybe you want to, download and reinstall it or something. You might want to do that. So you could look into that a little bit. Next comment here on audio sync fixes. So thankful. Just give you guys a little heart there. Let's see. Creating a sound library. Every time I need something, I come here. Thanks, Jay, as always. You got it. Little heart and a thumbs up to you. Some of these I've already answered here. So let's see. We got a comment on no sound fixed here. It says, hi, it sounds good. I followed your steps, but still running into the same issue, no sound. And I said, hi, no sound still? And they said, I changed the cache browse, and now it's working. So I guess maybe the cache location, maybe they cleaned out the cache there. That's something that you could try out and see if that works there. So good. Glad they got that fixed up. Timecode. So as you may or may not know, a lot of projects, they start by default at like 1 hour. And I've got a video on how to make it start at 0, right? And some guy says, or some person says, whoever came up with this hour thing's an idiot. Well, I don't know about that, but I think it's from, old film days or whatever. Next comment on the audio X-ray vision in DaVinci Resolve. Hi, Jason. Wonder if you do any one-on-one coaching. I'm happy to help people out. I haven't done like official, like, hey, you pay me one-on-one coaching, because most of the time I can answer your question, in a few minutes and you're off and running. So I'll just reply to them. I'm happy to help out if I can. How to install third-party transitions here in DaVinci Resolve. They said, Jason, how about video clips? I just subscribed to Envato and downloaded some video clips, but I can't seem to install it in DaVinci Resolve. I'm using a Mac. So if it's a video clip, it should just be drag and drop. You should just be able to drag and drop it in there is what I'm thinking. So, you probably want to look into that. I don't know what kind of file you downloaded. If it's something else, maybe it's not supported for some reason. If you're using the free version, I know there's some limitations on the files that are supported. If you're in Studio, it supports a whole lot more file formats. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But if you downloaded it from Envato, you should be good to go. I don't think there should be any issue with that. So I don't know. Drag and drop is what I'm going to go with for that one. Comment on why your DaVinci Resolve 17 VoiceVover is not working. So the commenter says, another reason why it's not recording a waveform could be that the capture location in project settings isn't set correctly. I had the same problem. Yeah, you want to make sure when you're recording voiceovers that you set where you want those recordings to go, so that way you can find them and they'll be all linked up and all that kind of stuff. So you want to make sure you do that in your project settings for playback and capture. Set your capture location, and then you should be good to go once you make your recording. Here's a comment from a post I made about ResolveCon. I went live. I said, I'm going live in 5 minutes. That was last week, and I was just getting ready, put a little picture up there, and they said, hey, Jason, you mentioned mastering the final mix at the end of your presentation. Do you have any videos on that topic? Now, I know I talk about that as part of other videos. I don't know if I actually have one that specifically talks about that at the end of the process. So mastering at the very end of your audio editing process to me would include maybe a little bit of sweetening, a little bit of EQ sweetening, and maybe checking your loudness, making sure you're good there, and that's pretty much it. Maybe you want to throw on a little bit of a compressor if you need it, just to make sure. But yeah, I'll have to make a video on that. So I don't think I have a specific video on just that, but I'm going to make a video on it for sure. So sometimes in Resolve, it has saving issues where it doesn't want to save or you're not able to save. So I've got a video on a little quick tip that worked for me to save that. And somebody commented on there. It didn't work for them, but now I know how to open 2 projects at the same time at least. I wish I could have them in different windows though. Yeah, it would be helpful to be able to kind of separate them out and have, one over here, one over there. But at least we can have 2 open, swap back and forth, copy and paste between projects. You would just right click in your project manager and then turn on dynamic project switching, and then you would have everything good to go there. So let's see. Next question we have here, or comment, is, Jason, I need your help. Maybe you know the answer. Maybe you have a contact at Blackmagic that can answer this. Resolve 18.5, working on a project today at work, and finally started reaching the finish line. As I was working through the EQ of my audio, 30 minutes into sound design, the handy frequency analyzer displays for spectrum and waterfall options somehow disappeared. I didn't see the playback audio overlay more in the plugin. I could have continued without it, but I love that feature to the recent version of Resolve. So I began to search the internet for hours, continuing into my evening, but found nothing. I watched hours of YouTube content, read blogs, articles, found nothing. And then on Resolve 19, so I went home, upset, revisited my research. I gave up researching, then proceeded to download Resolve on my personal computer to confirm I wasn't going insane. To my surprise, I saw an updated version of Resolve 19. I pulled the clip from my hard drive, opened up Fairlight, jumped into the EQ. Boom, the waterfall displays were there. After I saw that, I dove back into Blackmagic's course on audio to potentially discover if they would go over the new feature. But the video was not the latest version of Rob. Now I continue to spend more time at night looking to search for an answer. Is there a way to toggle the playback waterfall displays in the EQ? If so, how can I enable it on my work computer? I don't think it was in there in 18.6, but you said you were using it, so maybe there was. I thought that was a 19 feature. But let's see, if I just jump into Fairlight here, open up my EQ, 3 little dots. No, I don't know that there's a way to turn that on and off that I know of. Fairlight view? I don't think you can turn that on and off, the waterfall thing. Oh wait, nope, that's the waveform zoom. I'm looking for the frequency analyzer, but I don't think there's a way to turn that on and off. At least not that I know of. It's always just kind of there. Let's see if let's go to my music track here because I know that'll play all the way through. Yeah, I don't know. You can turn that on and off. You got me stumped on that one. I think it should just always be there. So I don't know what's up with that. Sorry, I can't help you out more on that one. I would try a reinstall maybe. That's the only thing I can think of. All right, comment on my video normalize audio levels versus dynamics. Normalizing and dynamics are not the same thing. It says watching you work and hearing the subtle changes you make as you go is like watching a colorist go through their grade and seeing incremental changes to the image. This is elite stuff, man. Thanks, appreciate that. On a sidechain video, thank you very much. Let's see, fixing your audio, bus 1, you got to make sure bus 1 is working. Yep, check that. Commenting because this gave me the power of 1,000 editors, the ability to save subclips. Yep, well, saving subclips, you could just make a clip in your timeline, click, hold, drag, bring it back into the media pool there. Boom, you got a subclip. Good to go. Let's see. Exporting vertical videos and tips in Resolve 18. When I send this vertical video to somewhere, it gets distorted. That's got to be the export settings or something. That would be my guess. So I would say check the export settings because I think something might be up with that. So a quick comment on how to color grade iPhone footage. Would there be any possible way to figure out the color profile on the iPhone? Because I don't own a Mac and Windows does not seem to give me the details I'm looking for. If anyone could help, it'd be greatly appreciated. I think Darren's got a great video on this. If you check out Darren Mostyn's channel, he's got a good video on grading iPhone footage and stuff. I believe it's if you either use the Rec 2100 or what's the other one? Let me go to Resolve here and take a quick look. Let me just jump in here. Let's go to some footage here. I'm going to right-click, color input space. Yeah, the Rec 2100, one of those might work, or the Rec 2020, I think. Those might work for Apple. If you're using Apple Log, there is an Apple Log color space here. You can right-click on your clip, choose Apple Log. That should do it for you. I think one of those options should work. But definitely check out Darren's video because he's a color master, so he would be able to tell you better than I could. Comment on 3 tips to remove audio noise, background noise. Best way to do it is going to be voice isolation. And if no other reason to buy Studio, voice isolation is where it's at. You want to buy that Studio version so that you can get voice isolation because it does a fantastic job of taking care of all that. And you can even just reduce the background noise a little bit. You don't have to take it out. So voice isolation is great for that. Comment on 8 unique transition hacks in DaVinci Resolve 19. So the comment is, I have Studio 19. I've tried doing what you said about applying transitions between clips. The double clicking doesn't work at all. When I drag and drop, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Even when it works, I don't get that little symbol indicating that there's a transition that has been applied like I see when you do it. What am I doing wrong? Okay, so first thing is, if the transition goes on and you're not seeing it, you could just be zoomed out too far. You got to zoom into your timeline more because the transitions are generally, fairly short with, 24 frames, 12 frames, whatever it is. So you got to zoom in to see them. So that could be one reason why you're not seeing it. The issue with not being able to put it on there, that could be that you need to shorten up the clips on either side, because if you're at the very end or the very beginning of a clip, you're not going to be able to drop a transition on there. There needs to be a little bit of a little bit of the clip underneath where your cut is. So you want to try that, shorten up the clips, even only a couple frames. That's really, all you need, and then it should work. You should be able to drop them on there. All right, comment on split screens for multiple clips in Resolve. Can you still add images and text that have something in whatever form as well? Yeah, you should still be able to add clips in a split screen setup if you want. Yeah, you could put anything there. As long as you can get it in Resolve and see it, you can use it in a split screen. All right, here's a good comment/question on a video, how to fix muddy, boomy dialogue. They said, I have to ask this because I'm screwing the whole thing up and nothing online is answering my questions. Is all the audio relative when it comes to the EQ, or are the EQ numbers standard? Why can't I just pick the sounds best on the first clip, then select all the clips and make the EQ match? Or is it once I've edited the clip, if I save and close and go back, the EQ will appear as a straight line again, and any changes I make from there further, that the clips are the current baseline? I can't see how anyone can edit a 2-hour video with hundreds of clips, one clip at a time, cost effectively. I can't seem to select all under edit on the fly. Nothing intuitive works. So frustrated. So here's a couple things to think about. One is I would edit on a track level, right? Separate out your dialogue, your audio by different, microphones, different locations, different actors. So you'll probably have a few tracks of dialogue. When it comes to EQ, don't work on a clip level is my advice. Work on a track level. And that's why we want to separate out our dialogue into sections that make sense, that are in the same location or the same person. So we can edit that whole section with the EQ that's in the mixer in Fairlight. We don't have to go one by one. You don't have to copy clip to clip or do any of that kind of stuff. You do it in the mixer in the inspector of Fairlight. That way it applies to the entire track. So if you're going clip by clip, yeah, no, that's going to take too long. Although you can do it once on one clip and then copy it and paste attributes to all the other clips if you wanted to. But I think it just makes more sense to work on a track level in Fairlight using the mixer over there. Same with the dynamics and any effects, that kind of stuff. So that's how I would do that. You should be able to use the track level EQ, not the clip level EQ. And hopefully that should help you out there. Here's a good one on an easy logo transition where I have a DaVinci Resolve wipe. They say it doesn't work. If I drag the logo in the inspector panel, it closes. So what you need to do is make sure the Resolve logo is up like in your viewer, right? So if it's in your media pool, double click it. Make sure your logo is seen and you're not looking at the timeline viewer. So then click the logo, drag it over, and drop it in the inspector, and then it should work. All right, here's a comment on how to color grade iPhone footage. Isn't work on Windows. Can't load the footage in Resolve. I think he doesn't like MOVs. Any idea? My idea is that if you're on the free version, there are file formats that aren't supported. It's just a limitation of the free version. If you had Studio and it's not working, then I'm a little more worried about it. But Studio probably would allow you to bring that in and drop it in. So I'm thinking it's a free versus Studio thing. So that's my thoughts on that one. All right, here's a great question about the new ducking feature in Resolve 19. They said, can you patch a bus with multiple voice tracks to send to one track so that way you can use the source for the ducker? That's a workaround to duck multiple tracks. And you can't actually do that using the ducker tool, right? I know exactly what he's talking about. We've got 1, 2, 3 dialogue tracks. We send it to a bus so they're all in one spot. Then we want to use that bus for the ducker to look at and say, oh, let me duck, say, my music underneath. So ideally, yeah, I don't know why that's not an option where you can use a bus, but unfortunately, right now we can't. So the way around that is to use the, I'm going to call it a little bit of an old school way, but we want to use the sidechain in the dynamics panel. So you can send all of your dialogues, say 1, 2, 3 dialogues over to the bus, and then in the dynamics panel, we can use that bus as a source to essentially do the ducking. So it's like an extra step or two. You've got a little more control over it than using the new ducking feature that's in the mixer. You got to know a little bit more about how to use it, and it's going to, do a better job to use a bus versus the regular ducker in the inspector can't use a bus. So I don't know why that is. Like, why not just let it use a bus, right? Why not? I don't know. But I just tried it yesterday, and it didn't seem to work. So I don't know. Hopefully they'll put out a little update where we can do that in the ducker, because that would be nice and easy. So yeah, for now, can't use the ducker to work with a bus. All right, let's wrap it up with one more here. It's a comment on a timeline view options video, but it doesn't seem like it has to do with that. But here's what it says. They say, hiya. I had a video that rendered fine size-wise for YouTube. I made changes to render for TikTok. Now I want to render a section of the same timeline for YouTube, but the video is now tiny. I'm short of some time and want to revert the video size. I've tried to restore DaVinci default settings. No joy. How do I restore the settings I had for YouTube? Or is there a way for me to import the timeline into a project where the timeline window seems to fill the screen? So I would just duplicate the timeline and then adjust your timeline settings, right? So if you duplicated your timeline, you adjust it or right-clicked on the timeline and then chose timeline and then timeline settings, you could change it back to be whatever resolution you want. I'm assuming you went to a vertical format, maybe a lower resolution or something like that. I would just change it back and you should be good to go. A lot of times if you're going to make changes like that to do, one thing for TikTok or whatever, I would just duplicate the timeline when you're done, make a new timeline. And if you actually don't want to have to make changes, if you adjust your original, just create a new timeline and then put the other timeline inside of your new timeline. And then you can make adjustments there and, use it that way. So that way, if you make any changes, it'll automatically get updated for your other, TikTok or other vertical video, whatever it might be. So, yeah, I would just go back and do the settings. Now, if you wanted to do it this way, you could also have your full video in your timeline and then just change render settings, right? And you can save a couple renders a couple jobs to a couple jobs in the queue. So that way, if you want to re-render the YouTube one, boom, hit that, do that. If you want to do a TikTok one, set it up so you've got your vertical resolution as well as your other settings that you want. And then, boom, render that out. So that way, you're always working in the same timeline, but you're just changing the render settings. And then you can render it for whatever type of, format that you want and just be working on one timeline. So that is how I would do that. That wraps up this episode of the DaVinci Resolve podcast, guys. Thank you for tuning in. I hope this was helpful answering a few questions here for you. I got to do this more often because it's fun. I enjoy it, and I think it's helpful for you guys. Not only can you watch, you could also sit and listen in the car if you're commuting or something like that. So with that said, I thank you guys so much for tuning in. Drop comments in my videos if you want it to be answered on the DaVinci Resolve podcast. You can even mention that in there. Say, hey, answer this on the podcast. But I'm going to try and get back to doing this a little more often because it's fun, and maybe we'll even get into doing it live some days. That could be kind of cool. Just going live and then turning that into a podcast. So that wraps up this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next podcast or the next video. Peace.